Memory is subjective. Truth is interpreted. Art is dramatized and distilled impressions. Narrators are unreliable. Words and silence can both be violent. People are more nuanced than opinions. Rhetoric is a craft. Trauma is inherited. Stories are sacred. Bear witness. I arrived at the cabin just before the snow came, when the lake's surface still reflected mountains and the open sky. The world was blessedly quiet. I hung pride flags from the clothesline to flap in the cold wind blowing in off the water. I hung my childhood Christmas stocking, the red one my mother cross-stitched with teddy bears on sleds building snowmen, one of the precious few sentimental items that had been small and light enough to bring with me. Back home, which wasn't home anymore, I'd filled a navy blue trunk with journals, photo albums, books, and other creative keepsakes that I still hoped to get back someday. My friends would quietly clear out the rest of my belongings, donating as much as possible. It would be months before my landlord, who lived upstairs, would notice I'd left. I'm too sick to fight, I told my friends as they packed my car for me. I was too weak to lift the bags myself. I'm no good to anyone like this. I need to run before I get too sick to do that too. Some people called me brave, but the truth is that long COVID had damaged my heart and my brain. I could barely walk. I chose that lake cabin as the place I would die on my own terms, far from the society where I was neither welcome nor wanted. I put seed out for the birds and soon enjoyed the near constant company of chickadees, blue jays, little red squirrels, a flock of turkey, and a herd of deer. I rose and slept with the sun. I walked along the shore of the lake, my feet steadier with each passing day. Soon I had the strength to remove the jacuzzi cover, and then I had heat to seep into my aching joints and jets to massage my shoulder blades and lower back. On the night of the winter solstice, I managed to carry 3 armfuls of firewood through knee-deep snow to the shore of the lake. I lit a fire at sunset and faced east, where light would return. Here I am, Creator, I whispered into the freezing wind that rustled pine boughs in response. I heard your call. I left behind everything and everyone I know. I cast aside all that was no longer for me, and I came into the wilderness to be with you. What am I supposed to do now? My footprints traced a labyrinth through the freshly fallen snow atop the now frozen lake, while I meditated on that question and promised myself I would never go back. Cobwebs over the hot tub caught rising steam and froze like macabre macrame. With the arrival of the new year, I understood that I was not going to die alone in exile. I understood this would be the most important election of my lifetime. I wondered if it would be the last. I chose my attire as intentionally as I had for every march, rally, die-in, picket line, canvassing trip, and other demonstrations since the insurrection. I donned a t-shirt proclaiming "The future is inclusive" with my rainbow backpack, a mask, and noise-canceling headphones. The line wound round the block. By the time I hauled my rollator out of my back seat and traversed the pothole-marred parking lot to join the queue, I was exhausted and near collapse. I alternately leaned into and sat on my mobility aid as the line shuffled forward, the constant up and down motion making me dizzy. Others in line alerted poll workers to my distress, and I was pulled aside to wait more comfortably. When it was my turn to vote, I embraced the volunteer who called my name. A fellow teacher, she had watched my health deteriorate over the past year after an infected child sneezed in my unmasked face. She told me how much the kids missed me and how they all hoped I'd be well enough to return in the new year. I collected my "I voted" sticker to display on social media in one final plea to my fellow progressives, who were boycotting the ballot over Gaza and stockpiling guns for the Second Civil War. I remember how the people still in line tried not to stare at me while I lurched out. My rights were on that ballot. My freedom was on that ballot. My life was on that ballot. Let them see me, I thought, lifting my chin and searching every face I passed. Seniors, seeing my condition at my relatively young age, regarded me with pity sugar-coated in humor. One gentleman winked and remarked that my cherry-red rollator with 4 armrests looked like the Cadillac of walkers. Black women met my gaze unflinchingly. White men were quick to look away. When the results were announced around 4 or 5 in the morning, I slouched towards my back door, stepped out into the streetlights, and screamed, "Fuck!" Then I went back inside and sobbed until I threw up. "This is happening, Dad," I told him over the phone. "I'm doing this with or without your approval or your help." Dad spluttered in exasperation. I might be the only person in his life to address him without deference. "Wait, why does it feel like we're fighting now?" he asked plaintively. "It's my job to guard our family's pot of money, and all I said was I had a few concerns." I took a deep breath and began to gentle parent my parent. I know it's really scary to consider that any of us might be in danger, so it must feel easier to believe I'm overreacting. "Congress and the courts will stop him. We'll vote them all out at midterms." As usual, Dad was trying to convince himself, and he heard my truth-telling as impertinence. I persisted. "But I am in danger, Dad. We all are. Even you, one day, when there are no more outcasts left to eradicate, and they turn on dissidents who otherwise look like them. I need you to stop trying to talk me out of this as though my safety was negotiable. I'm about to do a really hard thing, and I need you to snap out of this deer-in-the-headlights reaction while you still have this opportunity to support me. Please, Dad. There's nothing left for me here but a pink triangle, a spot up against the wall, and a mass grave. I can't stay. I won't." Dad drove his bright blue Tesla to meet me at my favorite neighborhood cafe. "I can't believe he won," he said when he saw me, wringing his hands. "I'm not ready to talk about it, Dad. I'm on autopilot. I need to be in Canada before I let it sink in." Dad's wide blue eyes came into focus briefly on my face. He wore the same lost expression I remembered from that summer night so many lifetimes ago when he'd had to tell his children our mother had died. "I'm so sorry I couldn't fix the whole world for you," he said. "I don't know how to answer that," I answered. I'd given my therapist the same response when she'd said she was sorry our society had failed me so completely. The closure of validation was cold comfort. Dad and I sat outside that cafe for hours, curating and savoring a parting memory we could bear to carry. We laughed together more frequently and easily than we'd managed over decades of estrangement. I showed him my packed car, making sure to point out the snow tires, first aid kit, emergency winter roadside supplies, and a French phrase book. "I'll be okay, Dad. If anyone can pull this off, it's my second-born," he declared. For the first time in 40 years, I believed him when he said he was proud of me. "Look," I said, "I'm feeling lots of awful things that I can't talk about until I'm safely out, but I want you to know that doubt is not one of those feelings. I know I'm doing what I'm here to do." Dad's strained smile was filled with wonder. "We are very different people," he offered, seeing me for the first and last time. "We've lived very different lives," I answered. "But you never stopped trying to reach me. I learned persistence from you." "It's the ace up your sleeve, kid." Dad released me from our final hug. "God help anyone who gets in your way, and Godspeed."